Randy Pitchford is back in the news again for a tweet. When responding to a fan who asked about the price of a game, he responded with the following. The fan asked, "Randy, this game better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increase of the price tag. You are the CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher." And Randy was very understanding and, had a really thoughtful response. He said, A, not my call. B, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Randy, what are you doing? So this story had a lot of twists and turns to it. He continued on in that tweet saying, "My local game store had Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen." What? Why? Randy's PR trend, I don't get why he would make this mistake. Now, full disclosure, a very young Destin Legary actually had the chance to meet Randy Pitchford way back in the day. I dug into the archives for this one. I got to go to Gearbox, the old office, I think, and I got to interview Randy and Steve Gibson and a bunch of people way back in the day. It was definitely a trip to be able to do that. So every experience I've had with Randy is nice, but my goodness, he does not come off well on camera. Not on camera, on social media. He said later on, "If you want the truth, here it is." And he actually linked to the Borderlands 4 panel. Let's take a listen to what he said during that panel.
Randy, I got a tough one for you here.
Oh, you got a spicy one for me?
I don't know the answer. I don't know.
Why is it always me that has to do the spicy ones? All right.
What will the game's price be? That's an interesting one. I don't know this.
Really now? I'll tell you the truth. I don't know. We've got a competitive marketplace where people or the people that make those choices want to sell as many units as possible, and they want to be careful about people that are price sensitive. So there's some.
Okay, just reacting to that. If you're price sensitive, you can't price your games at $80. Now I'm going to interrupt Randy. Now I was going to let the whole clip play out, but I'm going to interrupt him for a second because I had a conversation on social media not that long ago. This was from February of last year, talking about $80, $100. And I said something along the price of, about the pricing. Say game prices are raised to $100. You've now limited how many people can afford your game and your sales. I don't think raising game prices will even make a dent in the problem because it becomes cost prohibitive at some point. And very AFK Cromwell, who works over at Larian, he helped publish Baldur's Gate 3, said the conventional logic is that players are not as price sensitive as people think, but this applies to 40 to 60. They say it doesn't make a difference. Leaping to 100 when quality can't be trusted would be suicide, especially with the decline of marketing avenues. The problem with a more modest inflation increase to $80, for example, is that you're still fighting for screen time in a crowded market where there's less and less screen time each year. So the operationally viable raising is antithetical to the screen time problem also. What he's saying is, sure, you can raise it. This isn't a good solution to your problem. You're going to reduce your amount of sales. And what's really interesting is we've seen these games come in at a lower price point, like Clair Obscur, like the Oblivion remake of an old game, and they're selling like hotcakes. Why? Because you're competing in more avenues than just the one that Randy is outlining here. Let's continue on from Randy.
Some folks that don't want to see prices go up, even the ones deciding what the prices are. There's other folks accepting the reality that game budgets are increasing and there's tariffs for the retail packaging, and like it's getting gnarly out there, you guys. Borderlands 4 has more than twice the development budget than Borderlands 3.
So reacting to that, twice the development budget. To me, That's problematic. Now he continues on here. I'm going to let him finish this point because he says why it's that.
Here's the philosophy we have. Whatever the price is, we're entertainers. Yes, we want to get more resources so we can make bigger and better games. There's a reason why Borderlands 4 is so awesome. It's because you guys showed up and supported Borderlands 3.
So the reason they were able to invest that additional budget into Borderlands 4 is because of the support that we showed during Borderlands 3. Now, Borderlands 3 was a little contentious in terms of the humor and the writing and everything, but all in all, I think the gunplay was phenomenal, and I had a really good time playing Borderlands 3. I basically beat the game, got to endgame, got like a loadout that was very, very powerful. Then I was like, I'm good from this point going forward. So all of that said, that is good. But I've long said on this channel, but there is a big problem in the industry with these budgets getting completely out of control. Did you really need to double the budget from Borderlands 3 to Borderlands 4 to make a good product? I would argue no. And I think that there's a lot of people in the industry, especially people in leadership positions, who are realizing we can make Spider-Man Miles Morales for half the cost of Spider-Man 2 and see a similar ROI. I think there's a chance that Borderlands 4 have shot themselves in the foot with these statements, because sure, you can spend a lot more, you can spend double the budget, but is the result something vastly improved over Borderlands 3? That's a question for you to answer for yourself.
And we had the budget, so we could more than double the budget and feel confident in that. And that's awesome. When the revenue comes in, we could spend it to make bigger games and better games. As artists, we want everybody to have it. You know, we want to make it as easy as possible for everybody to enjoy what we're creating. So it's a weird thing, but the fundamental philosophy is we want people to buy it so we have the resources to make more, but we want everyone who buys and plays a Gearbox game to feel certain that they got the better end of the bargain. Whatever the price is, that they got the best value. And that's the philosophy that we live by. And so we're going to have a price set soon, and it might be the new price that like Nintendo and Microsoft have led with. It might be that we stay back. It's going to be the people at the publishing house that decide that. And if it is cheaper, then maybe we'll sell you that mini map that you guys want, but we'll develop later. How bad do you want that? $10? I don't know.
I know he's joking, but this comes off very poorly after what he said publicly about you'll find a way to make it happen. Because guess what? Yes, of course they're going to do add-ons, and they'll probably sell keys or something in Borderlands 4. They are going to continue to try and push that envelope as far as they possibly can. And, in hindsight, at the time, Randy was probably just being lighthearted and making a joke. And, I've met Randy many times. He's always been really nice. I mostly like him. But he comes off so poorly on social media every time he posts, it feels like. Oh, my goodness.
I'm just kidding.
He's not.
I'm just kidding. Or am I?
It won't be a mini map, but it'll be keys or something else.
I don't know. We'll know soon. Yeah. I think it's going to be fine, whatever it ends up being. I think it's going to be amazing, whatever it is. Borderlands is fucking amazing, and it's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah.
We haven't got kicked off stage yet. I'm just going to keep going until they.
Yeah.
Okay, so like fans obviously have been roasting Randy Pitchford over this. Even Devolver Digital got in on the action. They said you're going to be able to buy Mycopunk for you and 3 of your friends for the price of 1 copy of Borderlands 4. So obviously responding to the IGN tweet where Gearbox chief Randy Pitchford has responded to a fan who expressed concern about the prospect of paying $80 for Borderlands 4, saying, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. And he said in a now deleted tweet, Mycopunk is cheaper than a point of meth, probably has fewer side effects too. I think he deleted this tweet. I couldn't find it, but I did see it when it was live. I don't know what you're doing, Randy. Like, if you're not setting the price, you should have stopped at, that's not a decision I can make, but I will advocate for $70. Like that's your W. That's your W. That's all you really had to say. Here's what he said responding to Moxie. I know Moxie also. Moxie's great. Boy, howdy, JackGPT. Is that how I sound? My bad. But cheers to Duke Nukem and Moxie for the funniest thing I'm going to read today. In serious, though, nobody likes being taken for granted, and it was not my intent. I am humbled by the love and support everyone has shown the team as we push hard to get this amazing game in your hands. They're crushing it, and I can't wait for everyone to play what's going to be the best Borderlands ever, regardless of where the price lands. It's going to be worth it, and then some. Back to work for me. It's just such a bad look. It's really unfortunate. And this has really put a spotlight on some other things that are happening within 2K and with the Borderlands franchise. Because now people are bringing up that Take-Two and 2K Games have updated their terms of service, extending beyond the Borderlands franchise. Now, they claim, important info in the terms of service, mods are a bannable offense, display of cheats and exploits is bannable, forced arbitration clause is now in the terms of service, you can be banned for using a VPN, can't access game content on a virtual PC, best for last, they reserve the right to modify this agreement. That's pretty standard stuff. So I actually dove in to the terms and services that they have on their website to highlight some of the codes of conduct and such that they have updated and changed. Code of conduct, you agree you will not use exploits or illegal or unauthorized means to interfere with or adversely impact other users' ability to use the services as intended, to gain unfair gameplay advantage, or to gain access to virtual items or other content to which you do not have valid entitlement. So basically, they're worried about you utilizing mods to change the game in a single player game. This includes the use of cheats or so-called mod menus, unauthorized mods, hacks, glitches, or any other technical exploits in phishing, scamming, and social engineering. Now, obviously, some of that stuff is bad, and no one's going to advocate for phishing or social engineering, but it is weird that the idea of modding a single player game to like allow you to easily drop the guns or access the cheat menu is a bannable offense. You will not, unless subject to separate, express the written terms by Take-Two, copy any content to a remote server, virtual PC, or other system or network, including without limitation, one that enables or purports to enable such services or content to be downloaded or streamed to one or more separate internet-enabled devices. So I get what they're going for, but that means, okay, so I can't run it on a virtual PC now. I have to only run it on physical hardware. And then, of course, here's the arbitration clause, dispute resolution, binding arbitration. That's very standard in a lot of these. But a lot of what's being claimed on the Borderlands 3 Steam page is turning out to be accurate. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of an update here and just say, like, I don't like have an axe to grind with Randy. Randy's been very nice over the years. He got into it with Paul Tassi about something Paul wrote a while back, and he's not afraid to like jump in the internet ring and say what he's going to say. But this time, why didn't you just say it's not my call and leave it at that? It's like he's got to get out the shovel and keep digging. Randy, you don't need to do that. I mean, come on. Anyway, that's my take on the whole situation. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell if you want to know when my content goes live. And you know what's going to happen? There's going to be a big backlash from the internet on the Borderlands franchise because of these statements. I do think it will have somewhat of an adverse impact on Borderlands 4, unless Borderlands 4 ends up being a great game. I'm still excited about Borderlands 4, but let's be honest here. I'm probably going to get a code or it will be added to one of my press accounts. So like the risk is much lower for somebody like me. I don't think games should be $80 though. I don't think they should be $70. I think a lot of these big companies need to get their budgets in order so that they can offer a reasonably priced game that is great. Like Claire Obscure. Go play Claire Obscure if you haven't. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you to the members for helping me do what I do. Chris Reddy, Phil Aroni, Spingetter, and Aries EMS, and all the other people who support. If you want to support, you can go to patreon.com/SaveStatePlus to do so, or you can join on YouTube and become a member. I'm going to get out of here. Check out the breaking news that I had on the Bungie story, where some former devs and people at Bungie reached out to me. Check that out. Bye for now, everybody.